I need to get the element which is present in my index one by one. I'm having only one subscript and that represents the position of the element in array. While specifying array name, I need to follow the rules of an identifier. Here 5 is nothing but my limit. But where I want to start from the index A of 0. Hello to all, a warm welcome to my new session on arrays. I am Revati, faculty, Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. Before going to start my today's session, let me to recall the things what I have discussed in my previous session. In my previous session, I started with introduction about arrays. So what is array here? Here arrays are nothing but the collection of homogeneous element. So what is homogeneous element here? There is nothing but the same kind of elements are grouped under same name, and this kind of grouping and elements are called arrays. Along with that, I have discussed the types of array. So here arrays are classified into 3 different types. In that first one-dimensional array. So what is one-dimensional array? When I'm having only one index or only one subscript, in that kind of arrays are called one-dimensional array. And what is two-dimensional array? Suppose if I want to access the element which is stored in my array, and if I require 2 index or 2 subscript, that kind of arrays are called two-dimensional array. And what is multi-dimensional array? So here multi-dimensional arrays are nothing but n number of subscript. These are the 3 different types of arrays I have explained in my last session. In my today's session, I'm going to start with one-dimensional array. So what is one-dimensional array? How to declare the array? How to access the array? These are the things I'm going to discuss in my today's session. So at the beginning, I'm going to deal with one-dimensional array. After that, I'm going to deal with declaration of one-dimensional arrays. Along with that, initialization of one-dimensional arrays. Along with that, memory representation of one-dimensional array. So these are the very important topic I'm going to deal with in my today's session. So in my today's session, at the beginning, I'm going to deal with one-dimensional array. So what is one-dimensional array? How to declare one-dimensional array? Before that, let me to recall the things what is array. So here what is array? Here arrays are nothing but the elements, and it is a collection of homogeneous elements. So what is homogeneous here? That is nothing but same kind of element. For example, think that I'm going to have the integer number. So here I'm having collection of numbers, and I'm going to group all these number under some name. For example, I'll specify array. So I'm going to group all these elements under the array name array. So here it is an array in which each element is accessed by using only one subscript. So here one-dimensional array or single-dimensional arrays are the arrays where all the elements which is stored in this array can be accessed by using one subscript or one index or one indices. For example, think that I'm having 5 number, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And I'm going to specify the index. Usually index starts from 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now Here I'm having only one index. And what is the index? It is going to start from 0 and n minus 1. So what is n here? That's nothing but 5. 5 minus 1, it is 4. And this is my index or indices. And if I want to access array element, then I'm going to specify the index. For example, think that I want to access the array element 4. How can I access? That is with the help of index. That is, what is the index here? That is 3. So array of 3, when I write array of 3, I'm going to get the value 4. So this is the way I can able to use the index in my program. The only one subscript. So here I'm having only one subscript, and that represents the position of the element in array. For example, see, if I want to know the position of 2, then with the help of subscript or index, I can able to know the position. So here, so what's the position here? That is 2. And 2 is present at the position 2. But here index starts from 0. So it is going to present at the location 1. But if I consider natural language, then the 2 is present at the position 2. But if I consider index, then it's present at the location 1, because array index always starts from 0. Like other variables, array should be defined. Suppose if I want to create array like variables, I'm going to create the array. For example, if I write int a, then this variable capable to hold only one value. But if I want to hold collection of values or collection of elements, then I'm going to specify the size here, where I'm going to specify inside the square bracket, I'm going to specify the size. An array can be defined by specifying the data type. So here, if I want to define the array, first I need to specify the data type. That means what kind of data I'm going to use. For example, if I'm writing whole number, then integer. If I'm having character, then data type is character. If I'm having fractional numbers, then the data type is float. Of the elements followed by the name of the array. So first I need to write the data type. Along with that, I'm going to write the name of the array. So what's the name of the array here? It is A. And the number of elements. Now I need to define the size. That means how many elements I'm going to store in this array. That is nothing but the size or the number of elements that can be stored in the array. So if I consider this one, the data type is integer and my array name is A, and what's the size here? It is 5. Moving further, the number of elements that can be stored in the array is called size of the array. For example, if I write A of 5, then what is the size of the array here? That is 5. So here the number of elements that is stored in the arrays are called size of the array. For example, if I write A of 10, then what is the size of the array? It is 10. If I write A of 100, then what is the size here? It is 100. The size should be enclosed with square bracket. So here the size must be enclosed within the square bracket. This is the way I can able to define my array. Moving further, declaration of one-dimensional array. How to declare one-dimensional array and what is the rule I need to follow. There is nothing but the syntax. So here at the beginning, I'm going to have the data type. So I can define any kind of data here. So what is the data type and what is the example I can have here? It may be integer, float, character, double, etc. And I want to specify the array name. So I want to give the valid array name. And while specifying array name, I need to follow the rules of an identifier. And I want to specify the size. Okay, so here size indicates that the number of elements which is stored in this array, and that should be written inside the square bracket. Now this is the example. So here int is the data type, whereas register number is the name of the array. Along with that, the size of the array, it is 10. That means this register number can able to store 10 students register number. So the array, that is register number, can able to hold 10 different students register number. This is the way I can able to declare the arrays. Moving further, initialization of an one-dimensional array. So how I can able to initialize the arrays? If I consider arrays, I can able to provide the input in two ways. One is directly initializing and another way is through the keyboard. So I can able to provide the input to my array in two ways. One is initialization, that is nothing but directly I am going to initialize the values, or another method here is by using keyboard. That means through the keyboard I can able to input the values or elements to my array. So at the beginning I'm going to have the example here, that is I'm going to have integer data type and this is my array name. So what is my array name here? It is A. And what is the size here? It is 5. And I'm going to store or I'm going to assign the value, that is 9 minus 5, 6, 7 and 8. Dear student, let me to consider this example here. According to the example, the size of the array is 5 and the size of the integer data type is 2 byte. So 2 byte, that is 2 into 5, 10 bytes are reserved for this array A. Now, if I consider the memory representation, I'm going to have 5 different blocks for this A and the capacity of each block is 2 bytes. So, if I consider A of 0, I'm going to store 9. In the place of A of 1, I'm going to place minus 5. In the place of A of 2, I'm going to place 6. A of 3, it is 2. And A of 4, it is 8. Same representation I'm going to have here. So here, what is A? Here A is nothing but array name. And what about this 1, 2, 3, 4? It is nothing but the index or indices or array subscript. And in place of A of 0, I'm going to store 9. In place of A of 1, I'm going to store minus 5. In place of A of 2, I'm going to store 6. In place of A of 3, I'm going to store 2. In place of A of 4, I'm going to store 8. And suppose if I'm going to have less number, for example, think that I'm going to create A of 5. And if I'm going to assign only 2 values, but here I am going to allocate 5 memory, or what is the size of my array? It is 5. But I am going to assign only 2 values. Now what's going to happen? Rest of the fields are filled with the value 0. For example, A of 0, it is 1, A of 1, it is 2, then A of 3 is equal to 0, A of 4 equal to 0 and A of 5 equal to 0. This is the way I can able to initialize one-dimensional array. Moving further, I'm going to have how to access the element which is stored in the array. So, consider the declaration that is int A of 5. So, here I'm going to reserve 5 memory blocks for this array A. Once again, see here, what is the data type? Integer. It is capable to hold 2 bytes. Now, 2 into 5, total 10 memory blocks are reserved. And see, size of the array is 5, but what is the capacity of block? It is 2 bytes. So, here array, that is memory address, starts from 100, then 102, 104, 106 and 108. Now tell me why I am going to increment each time by 2, because it is 2 byte. The size of the integer is 2 byte. For that reason, I am going to increment my address by 2 each time. And I am going to store the values like 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Here it is going to start from array index A of 0 to A of 4. That is n minus 1. Now, suppose if I want to access array elements from the keyboard, how can I? With the help of CIN. I'm going to use console input to read the elements from the keyboard, and I'm going to read more than one value. I'm going to read more than one value. For that reason, I'm going to use for loop. Reading more than one value means what? It is nothing but the repetition or looping. For that reason, I'm going to use for loop. Now tell me why I'm going to use I here. There is nothing but the index. For example, think that I'm going to store 5 values. To store 5 values, I must require 5 positions. How I'm going to get 5 positions? With the help of for loop and with the help of index. To read, I'm going to use for loop, and how many elements I need to read? That is going to represent this I. Now, here 5 is nothing but my limit. But where I want to start? I want to start from the index A of 0. So, here the I is nothing but the index. I is nothing but the index. Dear student, let me to trace this simple example here. So, initially I is 0 and I less than 5. Remember one thing here, this I is always going to represent index. What is the index? It is 0. 0 less than 5, it is true. If it is true, what I want to do? I want to read the value and where I want to place in that location. For example, think that I'm going to read 10 and where I'm going to store, that is at the location A of 0. Now, I is incremented by 1, 1 less than 5, it is true. Now, I'm going to read 20 and where I'm going to store, that is at the location A of 1. Now I is incremented by 1. Now I is 2. 2 less than 5, it is true. I'm going to read 30 and I'm going to store at the location A of 2. Now I is incremented by 1, that is 3. 3 less than 5, it is true. Now I'm going to read 40 and where I'm going to store, that is at the location A of 3. Now I is incremented by 1. Now I is 4. 4 less than 5, true. I'm going to read the value 50 and where I'm going to store, that is at the location A of 4. And now I is incremented by 1. Now I is 5. 5 less than 5. The condition is false. So the control comes out from this block. This is the way I can able to access the elements from the keyboard. So here I'm going to access more than one element. For that reason I'm going to use the for loop in my arrays. Along with that, here I is mainly used to specify the index value, and the array index always going to start from 0. Moving further, how I can able to display the value. That means how I can able to read the value which is stored in the memory. That is, which is stored in my array. That is, to print the element. Suppose if I want to print the element, how can I? For that, I'm going to use output statement. See the difference here? Same code, but instead of cin, that is console input, I'm going to use cout. That is console output. That is nothing but the printing or displaying. Same for loop. I is nothing but the index and array index starts from 0. And what is the limit here? That is 5. That means I need to read 5 values which is stored in my array A. And how can I read? With the help of index. So I need to get the element which is present in my index one by one. For that reason, I'm going to use the for loop. Along with that, I'm going to specify the array index. So this is the way I can able to print the array element which is present in my array. Now, let me to take very simple example how to read an array element and how to display. So this is the simple program. So what I will do at the beginning, I'm going to include two header files, that is iostream.h and conio.h. And the actual execution of the program is going to start from the main program, and this is my variable declaration. How many variables I'm going to use here? That is 3. One for my array and one for my index and one for my size. Now, at the beginning, and what is A of 50? Here, I can able to store 50 elements in my array A, and it's of type integer. Now, I'm going to display the message to the user so that user can able to input the array size. So here, for example, think that I'm going to enter 5. Now n is 5. Now after that, here 5 is nothing but the size of the array. After that, I want to read the elements one by one. For that reason, I'm going to use the for loop here. Now tell me, how many times this for loop is going to execute? Only 5 times. That is, depends on this n value. So here I have given 5. So this for loop is going to execute 5 times. Now, I is nothing but the index and our index always going to start from 0. Now 0 less than 5, it is true. I'm going to read the value. See, this is the memory allocation. Okay, now it is A of 0. Think that I'm going to enter the value 10. And where I'm going to store, that is at the location A of 0. So I will store 10. Now I is incremented by 1. Why I is going to increment? Because I want to get my next index. For that reason I is going to increment by 1. I is 1. 1 less than n, that is 5. It is true. I'm going to read the second value, that is 20. And where I'm going to place, that is at the location A of 1. Now I is incremented by 1, I is 2. 2 less than 5, the condition is true. Now I'm going to read 30 and where I'm going to store, that is at the location 2. Now I is incremented by 1, now I is 3. I'm going to read next element, that is 40, and where I'm going to place, that is A of 3, it is 40. Now I is incremented by 1, now I is 4, 4 less than 5, true. I'm going to read 50 and where I'm going to place, that is at the location A of 4. Now I is incremented by 1, I is 6, 6 less than 5, the condition is false though. So the control transferred to next statement, that is I want to display the element or I want to print the element which is stored in this array. Now I'm going to display the message to the user that the elements are, and I'm going to display the values one after one. So here I'm going to get the output. The elements are okay. Now where I'm going to start, that is at the index I, that is I equal to 0. I less than 5, it is true. Now what I want to do, I want to get the element which is stored at that location. So here A of 0, which element I'm having, it is 10. Okay, so I'm going to print 10. Now I is incremented by 1, now I is 1, 1 less than 5, true. I'm going to get the element 20 from the location A of 1. Now I is incremented by 1, I is 2, 2 less than 5, it is true. So what I want to do, I want to get the value which is stored at the location A of 2, that is 30. Now I is incremented by 1, now I is 3. Now 3 less than 5, it is true. What I want to do, I want to get the value which is stored at the location A of 3, that is 40. Now I is incremented by 1, now I is 4, 4 less than 5, it is true. Now I want to get the value which is stored at the location A of 4, that is 50. So I'm going to get the value 50. Now I is incremented by 1. Now I is 6. 6 less than 5. The condition is false. So the control transferred to get CH line. Then I'm going to get this output. That is the elements are 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. This is the way I can able to read the element and I can able to write the element. So writing means what? That is nothing but the printing the elements. Then I'm going to have the memory representation of one-dimensional array. So how can I represent the arrays in my memory. So the elements of one dimensional arrays are stored continuous memory location. Okay, if I write int a of 5, okay, the continuous 5 memory locations are allocated for this array. Okay, for example, think that continuous 5 block of memories are allocated for this array A. So, A of 0 up to A of 4. Consider the declaration, that is, here they have taken character A. Character means what? Characters are capable to hold 1 byte. Okay, so the size of the character is 1 byte into A. And what's the size here? 5. So 1 into 5, it is 5. So total 5 blocks are allotted for this array A and it's of type character. See the address here. So the address starts from 1000, next time 1001, 1002, 1003 and 1004. So there is only one byte. There is one increment in the address. So this one increment is nothing but the size of the character data type. So the character data type is 1 byte. For that reason, the index is going to increase by 1 each time. So here array A is nothing but array name and array of 0, array of 1, 2, 3 and 4. These are the index. And if I consider this example, so it is 2 byte, integer holds 2 byte into 5, it is total 10 byte. And each element capable to hold 2 byte. For example, think that it's going to start from 1000. Then what is my next cell address? It is 002. If I consider third one, it is 004. And fourth one 006 and last one 008. So each time I'm going to increment by 2. This is the way I can able to represent the arrays in my memory. Moving further, see same example. It is integer data type and array name is A and the size is 3. So each time the memory address are incremented by 2 because each memory cells are capable to store 2 byte of data. The elements A of 0 is allocated at a particular memory location. The element A of 2 is allocated at the next memory location and so forth. Since the array is of type character, each element requires 2 byte. So here, what is the size of the character? It is 1 byte. If I consider integer, then it is 2 byte. Now, consider this example here. So this is the example for int A of 3. As we know that the size of the integer is 2 byte and what is the size of my array? It is 3. So 2 into 3 total 6 byte of memory locations are reserved for this array A. Now this is the memory representation. Here I can able to read and store only 3 array elements. So the index starts from A of 0, A of 1, A of 2. And what is the size? The integer is capable to hold 2 byte. So here it is 2 byte. So this is my 1 byte and this is my another byte. For that reason, if the memory address starts from 1000, the A of 0 holds 2 byte memory address, that is 1000 and 1001 is reserved for A of 0. See here, if I consider A of 1, 1002 and 1003 are reserved for this A of 1. And if I consider A of 2, then 1004 and 1005 are reserved for this array 2. So, the amount of storage space required to hold an array is directly related to the type. If it is character, then 1 memory block allotted. If it is integer, then 2 block memories are allocated for the given array. The total size can be calculated using, see how to calculate the total size. The total size here is 6. How I am going to get 6? See here, the size of the data type. For example, it is integer. So, 2 byte into the size of the array. The size of the array is 3, it is 6. For example, the size of data type character is 1 into the size of, suppose it is 5, then total size is 5. This is the way I can able to calculate my total size. So dear student, I hope in my today's session you got more information about what is array and what is one dimensional array, how to declare the array, how to initialize the array, how to read array elements from the keyboard, and how to display or how to print the array element. Dear student, in my next session, I'm going to deal with two-dimensional arrays with example. Thank you for watching my session. Let's meet in the next session. Until then, keep learning and keep watching. Thank you.